All right, guys, we are back. This is going to be a really, really fun episode tonight, guys. I have an old buddy, Mr. Benjamin Johnson. Ben Johnson. I believe you go by Ben and Benjamin, but we'll get to that throughout the episode. But Ben, I am so excited to have you on here. Ben and I actually went to the same elementary school and the same church growing up.
Yeah.
I know Ben's family pretty well. Ben and I have not connected in quite a while, so this is going to be so much fun. This is kind of a catch-up conversation.
Mhm.
I think when Ben and I knew each other best, we were both teenagers and even younger than that. So this is going to be so much fun. And Ben, I just wanted to thank you for coming on, man. And I wanted to see if you wanted to kick us off with a little bit of a background of kind of where you are today, man, because I'm so curious to hear about Mr. Adult Ben Johnson, because I know you from a kid, but
Yeah.
dude, I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. It is weird to see us now as grown-ups, as adults, you know? You're a dad, I'm a pharmacist. Like we have grown for sure. It's really cool to see. Yeah, right now, I'm just working as a pharmacist here in Philly, living life, trying to figure out where I want to go next, that long-term plan. But growing up with you and with your brother and with your parents at WEC and with mine, it really is a blast from the past. Yeah, it's really just good. My family, I love kind of supporting them, and that's a big thing that we're doing now, moving forward. As I get older, my parents get older, my siblings, so just a lot of family time, a lot of just trying to make sure everybody's moving up, everybody's growing, no one feels left behind. But yeah, I'm excited to chat with you.
Heck yeah, bro. Heck yeah, bro. So let's talk a little bit about Open Door Christian Academy, because I don't think I've ever even talked too much about Open Door, but it has a pretty I would say, at least for me, like a pretty big influential piece of kind of who I am today came from Open Door. Ben and I were spoiled to go to a super small Christian school. We're talking like
Mhm.
15 to 25 kids per grade. Everybody knows each other. Everybody knows each other's families. You automatically make the sports team no matter what, that type of cool.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and
that's
I just feel like, at least for me, Ben, and I'd love to hear your perspective, but like it's kind of a shame Open Door, RIP, does not exist anymore
mhm,
today as a
mhm,
functioning Christian academy. But we were super blessed and spoiled to be in a situation where we got extra attention from our teachers. We had the Christian faith taught to us in a way that was understandable as a kid,
mhm, mhm.
and people that really cared about us left and right. So just super curious to know from you, Ben, on if you feel like, Open Door was like a foundational place for you and kind of has a special place in your heart, kind of similar to me.
Definitely. I still think about the arc that was on the main
Oh
field,
yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
climbing in and out of there. Because though that was so long ago, 20 years ago now, even
Yeah.
even longer,
Yep.
it really did set a foundation of community. That was the biggest foundation that I think, especially when I went to public school, in high school, there wasn't
Yep.
really that much community like that. But at Open Door, everybody knew each other, all the parents knew each other. And like you said, the teachers were able to really invest in our lives, not just as teachers and educators, but as people, as Christians, as people who've lived this life for longer than we have. It really was a great starting point. And it is sad to see that it's not a school anymore. And I don't really know if there are many schools like that anymore. I think we were just blessed to have a collection of teachers, administrators, and even parents at that time that just wanted to see us succeed, even if we weren't their kid.
Yep.
So, people say smaller schools are a little weirder, but I think smaller schools really allow you to thrive in a space without feeling overshadowed, without feeling like you're not seen. And like you said, everybody gets to touch the soccer field at least once.
That's right, baby.
Your level.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And so Ben, you went to, after Open Door, you were telling me before the pod, you hopped over to Philmont,
Mhm.
Philmont Christian Academy. Shout out to Philmont. Got a lot of buddies over at Philmont.
Falcons.
My brother ended up going to Philmont his senior year, so I ended up going to all those games, watching him.
Mhm.
So tell me, what that transition was like, getting out of middle school into kind of a slightly bigger Christian school, and then let's go one step further and talk about that kind of Christian school to public school transition, because I'm
Yeah.
very familiar with that as well, and I just remember
Yeah.
that kind of anxiety feeling of like, hey, I only remember being in a class with this small amount of people. We all know each other, and then it's like,
Yeah.
wait, I don't know anybody. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, starting with that transition from Open Door to Fillmore, two things that come to mind is one, I was like, wow, I'm transitioning to a city school. I was like, this is not a
Yeah.
suburb, upper Dublin, you know, little nice gated area. Like, this is a city school. Getting people from all over the city. So I was definitely nervous about that. I remember yeah, not knowing anybody, walking the halls before I even went there because my parents had an in, my siblings went there already. So walking the halls, seeing all the names listed on the doors for the homerooms, and that first thing I did remember was like, wow, there's so many of us, a lot more people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who
Mm-hmm.
am I? Who's gonna know me? I thought I knew people, but I really didn't. I only knew there were siblings. So it was a real awakening that first day, even week at Philmont, having a school that was multiple levels and not just like one level that split off.
Yeah.
You had auditorium that was like meant for plays and shows and not just like a church hall.
Mm-hmm.
There were some real changes that I had to adjust to as I got older, going there. And then I mean, I really did meet some of my greatest friends there. I had one friend from Open Door, Ryan Markowitz. I don't
Oh
know if
yeah, I know Ryan. Oh yeah.
he came with his sister to Philmont when I transitioned. Um, and sadly, like we kind of split apart because the school was bigger. We kind of found our own cliques, our own groups. Um, but we actually just reconnected like a year ago, and that's been,
Nice. That's
you know,
awesome, man.
I have dudes that I'm celebrating their weddings. We're still together. We're still friends. We go see each other. So Philmont really did have a real impact on my life during even just those 3 years or 4 years of school.
Yep.
Um, but the big theme was that it was still a Christian school. And even if I, was acting a fool amidst that and not really fully involved with that side of it, it provided a space of comfort, of protection. You could always talk to people just like at Open Door.
Yep.
But then when I switched to public school, that changed the game. That really did change the game. We went from 25 to 30 in my class to over 250 in my class. You didn't have to wear uniforms. I was
Mm-hmm.
crazy, and then I remember going to preseason soccer that first year and being like, wow, I really have to fight for this spot.
Oh yeah.
No one knows me. I gotta prove myself. I had some friends from, the soccer team when I was a kid, but man, I was like, this is really intimidating. I felt overwhelmed. I was like, wait, why did I do this? What am I doing? Kind of that type of thing. And even if I wasn't fully involved with the Lord, like he was definitely with me in that. I'm not gonna
Yep.
lie, because
Yep.
you're walking into the lion's den in that place, and just a lot of new opportunities. And I was blessed to have parents that still, wanted to support me with that. They had two kids that were still in school, two kids in college, but they did allow me to sort of move and grow, and they supported me with that. But if I look at all three of those schools, Open Door, Philmont, Upper Moreland, the most important times were at Philmont, and I'm really grateful
Mm.
for that.
Mm. That's
Just
interesting, man.
yeah,
That's interesting that you call out Philmont as the most because you were there for probably the briefest time out of the three,
right,
right? That's interesting.
right. And I think
Interesting.
it's just about the people that I
Yeah.
met, the teachers that I had. I had one teacher, Mr. Eimer, eighth grade science teacher. One of the greatest men I've ever met. He was struggling with cancer for 11 years. They said they only had 5 months to live. He lived for 11 years and just kept living his life.
Wow.
And that
Wow.
testimony in itself shaped my heart, even as a seventh grader.
That's
Um,
amazing, man.
so
Wow.
yeah, I'm
That's
grateful for
awesome.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So tell us about so you told me before the pod, this was like your personal decision to go to a public school. Like what was going on in your brain to be like, I know you mentioned a little bit about like, I'd only really tried out this Christian school thing. Like what
Mhm.
went into that decision making? And I know your parents, seemed to be okay with you doing that, which is awesome that you had parents that were understanding and kind of, but like talk about that decision making process.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say it was good decision making. I would probably say, um, I think I just was kind of going down a path where I wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like, everybody knows me now. Everybody knows each other here at this private school. I want to go somewhere where no one really knows me. Like I kind
Yep.
of want to step out. And at the time, I really think it was, yeah, it was just like the parts of me that I wasn't trying to show everybody. I was like, if I go to public school, I can be my own person. I can do what I want. Have
Mm-hmm.
oversight. Like it really was about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I definitely wrapped it up in a nice bun for my parents so that they,
Mm-hmm.
let me go. And looking back, I try not to regret decisions made in life because everything leads you to where you're at. So I'm really grateful for even the dumb decisions I made as a kid.
Yep.
When I look back at that, it's kind of a real testament to me of how far I've come just from that type of kid that I was back then, making these decisions that I didn't really realize how would have such an impact on my life. So,
Yeah.
uh, and I did want to go play a little bit more competitive soccer.
Yeah. Hey, man. No shame in that.
Yeah, I had some buddies on the team, and at that same time, we were trying to transition to like a better
Ah,
club team.
there
So
we
I was like,
go.
we can play together and spend more time. Maybe we'll really be able to do something with this. So, um, yeah, it was kind of led on some not the best thoughts and trying to get there, but I'm grateful for that time. I got to do a lot. I did like theater there. I was part of their
Oh,
band. They had
wow.
a big band.
No
Played a bunch
way.
of sports. Was on the
I did not know you did theater, bro. That's so interesting.
yeah,
I kind of want to pick your brain on that, like right off the bat, because I feel like at Open Door they sort of like force you to do theater with those the plays, at least the eighth grade play, so everybody
yeah,
kind of gets a taste of like what that feels like to be in the spotlight, which is like for me, I mean, I was like the most shy kid ever. So like I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
like, oh, can you have a solo in the play? And I'm like, what? Why?
You know,
I'm like, seriously, are you kidding me?
yeah.
So tell us about that, bro. Like I feel like that's got to have shaped your personality a little bit, doing
For
some theater.
sure.
Like, are you still into that? You gonna be an actor someday, bro?
Dude, I think about it, man. I think about it. I've actually been thinking about trying to get into voice acting. Um,
Hey, that's the
you know,
dream right there, bro.
yeah,
Get a little script. You got a good voice.
yeah,
You might have
right. I
something
just,
going.
it's about the dedication and the time.
Yeah,
But Open Door really did set me up for that because
yeah,
my mom would always be involved in the plays. She would
yeah.
play the music.
Shout out to your mom, by the way,
Shout out to Miss Johnson.
Miss
Yeah,
Joyce Johnson. Which I
Miss
know we'll
Joyce.
talk about this later on. But Miss Joyce Johnson was the worship leader at
Yeah.
New Life Drescher. So I got
Mhm.
such an amazing experience getting to kind of watch her. I mean, do her thing on stage. Like she is
Yeah.
incredible, man. And I think
Weekly.
the last time I saw your mom was at Miss Palin's wedding. So
Oh
R.I.P. Miss
wow.
Palin. She was
Yeah.
incredible. So that was our fifth grade teacher, Ben and I. So yeah, it's kind of a full circle thing seeing her.
Mhm.
But yeah, dude, your mom, I mean, she has one of the better female voices that I've ever heard in person, like for real.
Yeah, yeah. I owe her a lot in terms of my music side, my theatrical side. My dad's a funny dude and he's theatrical, but my mom really instilled that in us. So like being in first grade and my older siblings being in the play, they would
Yeah.
have us, me and my siblings be in the play. So
Yep.
that kick started it for sure. Um, but yeah, like you said, my mom playing every Sunday. She would play her piano at home every night. She would sing. She would make us sing, make us do the PowerPoint at church. So whether or not we wanted to be a part of it, just like we
Yeah.
were in there, we were all a part
Yeah.
of it. And I'm just grateful for that because that led me to try a lot of different things I don't think I'd ever would have tried. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
at Open Door or at Upper Moreland. I was in their Footloose play.
No
I had a
way.
solo. I had a
Yeah.
duet, some lines. Just just allowing yourself to experience new opportunities. I think that was the biggest thing my mom taught me, um, and it led to me, doing some acting and taking an acting class in college and just
Nice.
embrace that theatrical side. I got cousins that are on like Broadway and things, so I
Wow.
yeah, I got to see a lot of that world, and I got to really just dive into it if I wanted to. I was never forced, other than an open door. But like
Yeah. Yeah.
like it was never, hey, you have to do this, and you have to really put your all into it. It was kind of, hey, if you want to do this, you're more than welcome. And I think having that openness to do it really allowed me to enjoy it. You know.
Yeah. Now, Ben, are you the type of person like I'm getting the vibe from you talking to the adult version of Ben Johnson here? I'm getting the vibe from you that like you seem like somebody who really at least right now, the vibe I'm getting is that you don't really seem to have an issue with stepping out of your comfort zone. Like, did you have a moment in your life where, you felt anxious about kind of putting yourself out there, or like uncomfortable in any type of situation? Because like I've learned in my own personal life, like the more I put myself out there in these uncomfortable type of situations that I would
Yeah.
never expect myself to enjoy, the
Mhm.
second you get over that fear, it's just kind of this overwhelming feeling of like, why did I even think? It's kind of all in your head. So like, I'm curious
Yeah.
to get like, have you always been like a very comfortable person in the uncomfortable scenarios, or is this like a new thing for you?
That's a great question. Um, I grew up in a big family. I got
Yep.
5 siblings. I got over 30 cousins, a lot of aunts and uncles. So being around people and kind of being in a community was never a new thing for me. And so I think when I try new opportunities or new events, new types of activities, I kind of just think of it as a community, and that allows me to maybe slip in a little easier. But I definitely get anxious. I've been trying new things my whole life. When I was at Upper Moreland, like I said, I did acting, I did indoor track. I did bowling, tennis, just
Bowling, that's
you
sick.
know, trying a bunch of things that I was passionate about or that I liked. I thought I
Yeah.
might like,
Yeah.
and I didn't let kind of that fear of not being good at it or not fitting in kind of stop me.
Hmm.
Um, and for a long time, it was definitely people pleasing. I definitely wanted people to like me, so I kind of wouldn't allow myself to be anxious or let that stop me from doing things. But as I got older, I think I just realized there's a lot I want to do. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things out there that I haven't experienced that I might like. So um, I think now what gets me the most anxious when I'm in uncomfortable situations is around like work or around
Mm,
professional settings.
mm,
Because I'm a pharmacist, but I'm not always a professional guy. Like I'm definitely informal. I like to make
totally.
it personal and make sure people are feeling welcomed and accepted and kind of keep things low key. Um, so when I was in school, in pharmacy school, it was definitely a lot of anxiety about entering into, this space where I have to talk to older adults about their Medicare. Or I have to, go and give vaccines and talk to this patient about their diabetes and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of anxiety with that because there wasn't room for me to kind of fluff it up or
Yeah.
build around that anxiety. So but the Lord really stepped in those moments. But I'm grateful now that I'm not paralyzed by those fears, because I'm able to do a lot of things. I'm in a pickleball league. I'm playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I'm
Hey.
giving presentations on vaccines, kind of things like that that just wouldn't have happened if, one, my parents didn't say, hey, you can do whatever you want to do, just step into it. And also, just getting over that hurdle of not letting my fear stop me before I do it. So
Yeah. That is
yeah.
so cool to hear, man. Well, let's dive into the pharmacy side a little bit, because I believe you went from Philmont to, or not Philmont, you went to Philmont, and then you went to Upper Moreland, and then you hopped over to University of Pittsburgh. Am I
Yeah.
correct on that?
H2P.
Awesome, awesome. So talk about Pitt a little bit. Like, did you go in knowing you wanted to be a pharmacist, and then even take one step back? Like, I always ask people on this, like, when you were a kid, what did you think you wanted? I'm sure it wasn't a
Yeah.
pharmacist. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know what pharmacist was when I was a kid.
That's what I'm saying.
Um, you know, yeah, it's funny. In 7th grade, my cousin introduced me to this show called Psych. I don't know if you ever heard of Psych.
Oh, dude, we could talk about that for probably a whole hour.
Right,
That's
man.
that's an OG show. Shout out to
OG.
Psych. I think I,
And
I think I watched that thing all the way through. How many seasons they have? Like 10?
eight
8.
seasons,
Okay.
three
I'm pretty sure I
movies,
watched.
a
Yeah, dude, it's
musical. Yeah,
such a good show.
such a good show. But that was my first real introduction into the pharmacy world, because Gus,
Mm.
the main character, or
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
co-star, he was a pharmaceutical salesman.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
remember just seeing that and hearing that. And as I got older, I wasn't really thinking about what I wanted to do when I was like in
Yep.
high school. I was kind
Yep.
of just living life, just doing what I wanted. Um, but I remember somebody asked me one time, and I was going to say doctor. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll be a doctor, because I thought it sounded cool. And then I switched and I was like, oh, I'll be a pharmacist. And they're like, oh, cool. Like, why do you want to be a pharmacist? I'm like, I don't know. And the more I thought about it, seeing Gus on the TV really did kind of stir something up in me.
Interesting, man. That's
Seeing
so
some
cool.
representation within that field,
Yeah.
um, it
100%.
really it, it just opened up that side. So when I was touring schools, when I was looking at where I wanted to go, me and my dad went and visited Pitt, And this is where the Lord really just kept opening doors, because we happened to stumble upon this woman, Marsha. Bless you, Marsha. She, took us on a tour around the Pitts Pharmacy campus, because I just had mentioned I thought maybe I'd want to do it, and she really came in and stood with me the whole way. So she kept reaching out to me when I was a senior in high school, and then I decided to go to Pitt. She kept reaching out, gave me connections to other Black pharmacy students that I could talk
Mhm.
to, people that I could
Mhm.
kind of hear about their experience.
Yeah.
And so when I decided I wanted to go to Pitt, I was like, I want to go to Pitt for pharmacy. They got a great pharmacy school, #1 in the state, #8 in the nation. Like,
Wow, I did not know
cool,
that. That's so cool.
yeah, it really was. And when I got there, I only did 2 years of undergrad, so that was a big difference. Was my freshman and sophomore year were in undergrad, and then junior year I went into my first year of pharmacy school.
Wow.
So as a 19-year-old entering into this doctorate program,
Yeah.
I was like, yo, what did I get myself into? And I think sophomore year was really when I was understanding what it meant that I was about to go to pharmacy school, and how, just strenuous and intense it was going to be. Um, I kept being like, oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I want this door to close,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the Lord was like, nah, man, you're going. And like every door kept opening, people kept coming alongside of me. So I think that the end of sophomore year was when I really decided, like, okay, this is my path. This
Yeah.
door's not closing. I might want it to close because I might be anxious, like we talked about, or I might, think I don't want to do it anymore. But this is kind of what's happening, and I need to kind of understand that, and really feel or realize why I want to do it. Um,
Mm. Mm.
so it was tough. Pitt's a tough school. I'm not gonna lie. Pitt challenges you, and that was
Yeah.
great. Because yeah, when I look back, it was less about the educational journey. I knew I could get through it. I knew people would come alongside me and help me. It was more of like
Mhm.
that personal journey, and that's really what I got the most out of school and after school. Was that personal and heart change that I went through, and transformation in that. So yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. I'm so curious because I was telling you before this, like I've never ever talked to a
Yeah.
pharmacist, like at least that I know well. So just super curious to pick your brain because like I don't know, from my perspective, at least what I've seen over the years, and this might not be the case like in your exact role right now, but like
Mm,
it almost encourages me to know that like there's a real strong believer like you
mm,
in this industry where
mm,
there's no worry or concern with a patient coming in. And I worked in sales, and I had a lot of
mhm,
people that went over to pharmaceutical sales, and I've heard all the stories kind of behind the scenes. I've heard about some court cases behind the scenes. Like
mhm,
it's good to know that there are people like you that are real ones in that field that like I would trust you to never over prescribe something or give like like we hear stories just as people, right? We hear
yeah,
stories about,
yeah.
in any industry, there's going to be fraud and things like that. So like, did you ever experience anything like that firsthand and kind of have to be that good example where obviously you have to make some gut decisions on
Mhm,
what you're able to give people and use your best judgment in probably
mhm.
some tough situations, but like what's that been like for you? Because it really does encourage me to know that there are people like you in that industry. Just because I've seen some people that let's say they're not like you, Ben,
Yeah,
in that industry.
yeah. Yeah. First and foremost, it's when you're a kid and you see these professionals in their positions, you see them as the professional.
Yep.
You don't see them as just a human that decided to go that route.
Yep.
So, I had the naive mind of like, when I become a pharmacist, I'm going to become the person I'm meant to be in this role.
Yep.
Um, but as I got older, as I went to pharmacy school, graduated, I did realize like, a lot of people go into these professions not for the right reasons in
Right.
some sense. Um, so for me as a pharmacist, the big thing that people kind of misconstrue is I'm not prescribing anything.
See,
Oh,
I'm completely wrong on that.
the doctor prescribes it, and we're kind of the middlemen, if anything,
Yep.
of the doctor prescribing it, giving it to us. We fill it, give it to the patient,
Yep.
um, and that's the most simple terms. If you're trying to teach a baby how you get your medicine, that's what you say. But in reality, we are we're pretty vital, for the main reason of being the patient advocate.
Yeah.
I heard like some stats about, every person has at least one pharmacy within a 3 mile radius of them or 5 mile radius of
Wow.
them. Not everyone has a doctor within that time frame or a hospital. So we're the most accessible aspect of healthcare that there is for communities, for like anyone that needs something. But with that comes a lot of anger and blame and a lot of people just getting frustrated at us because they can't get frustrated at their doctor, they can't get frustrated at their insurance company because they're not as reachable. So you hear the stories about CVS or about people having super long lines, pharmacists being rude, techs being
Hmm.
rude. um, they're on the battlegrounds. I'm grateful. I work in a mom and pop pharmacy that
Oh,
actually is
cool.
to expand within the next couple of years. We do a specific type of medication packaging called blister packs that help patients stay on top of their medications, help them stay adherent and compliant. So we are in a unique space where patients don't come through our door. We're technically considered a closed door pharmacy.
Mm,
We do all in-house packaging and then we deliver out to patients.
interesting.
With that, I'm I'm, I'm kind of lucky not having to do face to face with patients,
Yeah.
um, but I do talk to patients on the phone all the time. I talk with doctors, insurance companies, and the biggest thing that I take out of this is it really does. It teaches me life skills like patience, kindness, goodness, perseverance, those types of things. But
Yeah.
it also teaches me how to be a patient advocate, how to really fight for somebody else that I might not
Hmm.
know, I might not see ever in my life,
Yeah.
but there's a reason why I'm fighting for them. And that's something that was ingrained, I think, in both of us was an act of service ever since
Yep.
we were kids. And so I found this as an opportunity to do that. And I serve patients who are like 65 and older, pretty much. We have some younger patients, but I definitely serve the older adult population, people who are either living at home by themselves or might have some family, but they're really isolated and in solitude. So I have a couple patients who call me just to talk, just to hear somebody else's voice.
Yeah.
And we'll be on the phone for 40 minutes and you know I as much as I know it really helps them, sometimes I gotta tell myself like it's okay, like sit here, be with this person, like they really need it. And
Yeah.
so with that side, it's almost like a social worker side. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's really valuable for pharmacies in these communities. For myself, is like we're just somebody that some people can talk to, really know, like you said, that they can trust me. And I think
Hmm.
knowing that they can trust me to fight for them emboldens them and really helps bridge that gap between their mistrust in healthcare or their mistrust in people,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
have somebody on their side.
Yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
that's so special. I love to hear that. And on the other side, I know you mentioned kind of a brief situation there of like, yeah, everybody in kind of any industry is going to have the tough customers. Like, what do you
Mhm.
do? What do you do in those situations if you've had either a bad day, where you're taking the brunt of someone else's bad day, essentially, whether it's over the phone or in person? Like, what are some of the things that you do personally to kind of unwind and reset?
Yeah. I mean, in those moments, I pray because I really, it's
Yep.
people pushing buttons for sure.
Yep.
But I mean, after those times to really reset, I call my mom. She's my rock. I call her and I just kind of
Yep.
debrief on that.
Yep.
Um, I do a lot of reading. A lot of like I said, playing Dungeons and Dragons, things that kind of just help take me out of my mind, expand kind of what I've been thinking about. Um, Reading is the best way for me to escape those things, but it's in the moments. In the moments, it's a lot of just self realization of I know this person's really upset with me, but if they're
Mhm.
not upset with me, they're upset with something else, and
Yep.
I might be the easiest one to blame. I might be the easiest one to get a hold of. So it's a lot of putting things into perspective
Yep.
and not letting it, not taking it personal. I've
Yep.
had some real nasty calls on the phone, and people screaming about this and that, and it's patience. patience that the Lord is teaching me, and learning how to listen to everything that's being thrown at me and identify the real underlying reason and the real reason of, why are you so upset? Can I fix that? And if I can't try to fix it, then can I try to point you in a direction to fix it? And so it's just about slowing down the heart, slowing down the mind, allowing yourself to be in that. And just like I said, I got to stay professional. So it's a lot
Yeah.
of, keeping my mind on the goal. And that's
Mhm.
to, in those cases, it's to bring the patient's temper back down. Like I kind of got to
Mhm.
console them. I want to bring them back in because I don't know what they're doing after this. I don't know how deep this anger runs or how deep this frustration goes.
Yeah.
So, but first I got to check myself. I got to make sure I'm calmed down. I got to make sure I'm my eyes on the prize, my eyes on the main mission. Um, and so with that, that does help after work. But I found myself angry for a long time after work, thinking about it, kind of letting it seep. And it just takes almost somebody else to come in and be like, Ben, like, you're okay. Let's move
Yeah.
past that. You got another day tomorrow, another patient potentially to yell at you. Like, you can't let that kind of simmer in your heart. Um, yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's such a great answer, and I feel like the way you're describing it. It's like this is clearly God putting you in the right line of work. Like that, you are a perfect person for this industry. So just super super cool to kind of
Thank you.
hear that's what you're doing today. What are you reading right now, bro?
Tell man, there was a series my brother put me on. So Stefan's the biggest reader in my family. He
Shout out to Stefan, by the way.
Shout out
Stefan
to
was,
Stefan.
I think, 2 or 3 grades above me,
Yeah.
and I always looked at Stefan as like, "Ooh, Stefan is like the guy of
He's
Open Door at the time." Like he was
yeah,
crushing it in every single sport, and
yeah.
super cool dude. So you have
Now
some awesome siblings that you grew up around.
I really did. And now he's a nerd. Now he's a nerd like me. And I love it, man. Every year he gets us different books for Christmas. He always just gives books for Christmas. I don't know if
That's
it's
awesome.
laziness or if he really wants us to read. So I actually just finished the book he got me for Christmas. It was called The Adventures of Cavalier and Clay. I don't know if you've ever
Mm,
heard of it, but
never heard of it.
it's a historical fiction about
Okay.
these two cousins, these two Jewish cousins during World War II.
Mm,
And the one cousin escaped from Prague and came to America, New York City, where his other cousin was living. And they both loved to draw. And the New York City cousin introduced his cousin to comics, the world of comic books. And so it's just them building this life together as they live in New York City, as they get older, and as they start writing comic books and drawing comic books. It it was long. It was like 670
oh
pages,
wow.
but
Oh my goodness, that's thick.
it was very in depth. But it was just this cool construct of seeing these two cousins and just how they involved like comic books, but real life pain and
Mm,
suffering,
mm,
World War II and death, and put it into this nice, paperback book that involved superheroes and villains and really descriptive imagery. And so that was a really cool book to read through. And I love those historical fiction books. I think
okay.
it's
Is that your main genre then? Historical fiction.
I would say more recently, yeah, for sure.
Cool.
As a kid,
Cool.
it was fantasy, but now it's cool to think about what lives could have been lived during these times, and
Mm.
kind of being free to think about like, oh, this could have happened. This could have been somebody's story back then. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah. How about you? Are you picking up a book? I was reading your blog you put on your
Oh,
website.
thanks, man. Thanks for checking that out. I
2017.
I am reading one right now, and this one's special to me. And just before I show you what this one is, I just want to say, like, reading. I don't because I grew up around a Christian nonprofit that specialized in publishing books, so books
Yeah.
were around me all the time. And
Hmm.
when you're kind of force fed books that much, like, dude, I was like I'd much rather watch TV. Like that was
Yeah.
always like I just
Yeah.
felt like, what am I doing wasting my time with a book? I just never got into reading at all, unless it
Right.
was for school. Like for projects and stuff, I could do fine,
Hmm.
read however long the book actually was. I would crush the books for school, but I just never enjoyed it enough to do it outside of school.
Yeah.
But I think like I almost wish that I had done more reading as a kid because I feel like, I can even tell with you, like it makes you a smarter person. It really does. And especially in this technological age that we're in now, there's something to just closing the laptop, getting off your phone and
Hmm.
forcing yourself into a book, whatever book it is. For me, obviously my favorite book is the Bible. Like if I'm going to spend hours at a time, it's usually going to be that, doing devotionals, praying
Hmm.
myself. But right now, dude, I'm reading my great grandfather's autobiography called The Foolishness of God. So this one was written in 1982. It's super special to me,
Okay.
by my great grandfather, and it just talks about kind of the foundation of CLC and kind of his missionary journey and kind of his stories, which I never
Mm.
obviously didn't get to meet him. He's in my top three of like people that if I dead or alive could have lunch with. Like he's super special to me. I'm named after the guy, so
No,
this one's been
no.
fun. I'm like 60, 70 pages in. I think it's like a 300 pager, so I'm getting through it. But it's just so cool to kind of read his perspective and then
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
kind of what CLC is to now. I'm usually pretty into history, pretty into biographies, like even TV wise. I love documentaries and just
Hmm.
kind of
Hmm.
the real stories. But my mom is like an avid reader herself, so she's super into fantasy and everything like that. So, but yeah, books, man, books are awesome, and I never gave them a shot as a kid, and now it's
Yeah.
just it's a cool way to unwind and get, and like in the role that I'm in now, I really need to find avenues, whether it's
Hmm.
golf or whether it's getting out and doing exercise or obviously playing with the kids, and there's many ways that I can do it, but reading is
Hmm.
another fun way for me to just unwind and forget about these silly laptops that we have to be on
Yeah.
24
Phones.
27 these days.
Yeah. And I mean, I want to talk about your great grandfather in a second. I just want to say, like, books, even more than TV. I feel like TV is pretty repetitive in
100%.
the categories that the genres, but books are endless, endless stories, possibilities. Like that's what I loved about it. And I grew up again with siblings that read a lot. My parents always wanted us to read, encouraged us to read. So I got to just see how endless reading was and could be for somebody. So I've read a lot of great books. I've slowed down because of, like you said, school and reading textbooks and things like that weren't as enjoyable. But it's really nice to get back into it. Did you say though? Did your grandfather, great grandfather, start CLC?
Yes,
CLC?
sir. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yo,
Oh yeah.
wow.
So yeah, like growing up, my whole journey was supposed to be kind of next in line to be the CLC
Yeah,
guy. So yeah,
no way.
it was super kind of in my blood from day one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I was always walking around the hill at CLC thinking like, oh yeah, this is like my family kind of place. Like that, it was
yeah.
very, very special to me.
So did they live at WEC too?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yep.
Wow.
So
Okay.
actually, funny enough, my great grandfather is the one. So that big castle up at the top of WEC.
Yeah.
So I'll probably botch the story a little bit here. I've done a little bit more research lately on it, and I'm not quite at the chapter of the book where he talks about it yet. But
Hmm.
my grandma just recently took us through a tour of CLC, and we went through the castle, and she's given us stories. But the story goes, I'm going to botch it, is that that castle was essentially abandoned, and this was like in the 1930s, I believe. I think
Mm.
it was late 30s, early 40s. Um, and my great grandfather had started this bookshop in London, and then it kind of expanded to other places in England. And he was trying to do mission work. He was really just a businessman that
Yeah.
cared about the Lord and wanted to use his kind of servant heart for good, and
Hmm.
realized that like business was not his, like he loved business, but he wanted to do the right thing with it. And he figured out a way to expand over to other continents, and he's looking at the US and trying to find a place for his organization. And that whole entire hill ended up being one of the places that he toured. They went to this abandoned castle, and pretty shortly after, I'm going to botch the story, but they ended up signing a contract, and he was the one who found that castle. and then
What?
and then WEC ended up being a part of that property as well.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I never
Insane.
knew that was, yeah, your lineage right there. I remember going, driving by it almost every day, going to the festival that you guys would have there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Trying, fried grasshopper and
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
know,
dude.
that's
Yeah,
wow,
the
that's
WEC
amazing.
festival. That's a throwback. That WEC festival, dude. Yeah, they
Yeah,
had like wild animals and yeah,
yeah,
fried
it was
grasshoppers, all
crazy.
sorts of things.
That's like
That was fun.
I was like, what is this place? It's a castle, and then the Almack's over here. I was like, wait, what? What's happening? Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah,
And
man.
that your the autobiography is the foolishness of God. What is it?
Yep. Yep. The
Okay.
foolishness of God. And then, so this is, I mean, it's just cool to see the marketing from him too, because it's the foolishness of God, but then you get to page, so it's the first page. And this is a verse in the Bible for all the listeners out there, is wiser than men.
Ooh, yeah,
And he, I think, intentionally left that off the cover just
yeah.
to kind of make it more eye catching.
And try
But
to
yeah,
draw people that don't know God. I
exactly.
I wonder how many people picked up that book like, oh, this atheist, let's see what he says, and then they open it up, and hopefully that really opened their eyes.
Yep, yep. So it's a fascinating read. I'm making my way through it, but yeah, a lot of lineage and kind of history, and super special to me because CLC still holds a special place in my heart. And
Yeah,
shout out
for
to
sure.
Jim Pittman and all the Pittmans and
Yeah.
everybody that I got so close with on the hill. And Mr. P is running the kind of U.S. operation right now. So Mike is still living at CLC, and
Hmm.
we still have a special place there for the Almack. So
That's awesome.
yeah, CLC a special place in my heart for sure. But yeah, any type of reading I'm typically doing is like autobiographies or the Bible. Like I'm in
Hmm.
the Bible for the most part, which I actually, and you can pray for me in this, Ben. I struggle with even Christian literature. I think one of the things I struggle with is understanding, because for me, I had this kind of wake up moment and realize, what the heck am I doing? Like the Holy Spirit is with me right now. I've been living quote unquote in sin for so many years.
Hmm.
um, I think the biggest thing for me was I needed to have this experience myself with God's word.
Hmm.
And I still am struggling quite a bit with even devotionals, depending on who it is. But like a lot of Christian literature that I get into, I'm like, I don't know. I think a lot of people do twist it a little bit, and I like to have that personal experience, which that's why the Bible is usually my number one. Where like if I'm gonna
Hmm.
spend the time to read, I'm like, let me just kind of have this personal moment and experience with the Lord myself, versus kind of
Yeah.
reading other people's words about it, if that makes sense. But yeah, you can
Yeah.
pray for me in
Yeah.
that area for sure.
Definitely, man. That's the same thing with me. I think my journey with the Lord has really been ones of peaks and valleys. Crawling to Him in my lowest moments, still trying to give Him glory in those ups. Um, I had mentioned pharmacy school, and the Lord pushed me through. After I graduated, um, I on the outside, I had got my doctorate. I was professionally set. I had a job set up,
Heck
but my
yeah.
heart was real lost. It was lost. And it took me almost 2 years to get my licensure, pass my licensure exam. And so during those 2 years, usually it takes like 4 months for people. And I remember failing that first time and kind of just, it was all self doubt, all like kicking myself while I was down, no real trust in myself, and not looking to God. I was like, I've lived my life
Yep.
this wrong way for so long. I'm
Yep.
like, I'm not going to turn to God now that I'm down. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I can
Mm-hmm.
do it. And then, rushing into my second exam, not changing anything about how I studied, how I lived, how I thought. And I remember like the night before my second exam, just breaking down to my parents about a lot of the things that were on my heart that I really just hated about myself that was holding me back. And that was a real big change in just how I was thinking. And I'm grateful for my parents being so open. Like you said, we both grew up in Christian churches.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
you know, I'm grateful that I really have parents that no matter what I brought them, they loved me and they wanted to
Mm-hmm.
be there with me and for me and in that. So, I've to where I'm at now, it's been a lot of having to be conscious just about how I move. And I think the biggest thing that I took out of being in the Christian community as a kid was just loving people. And you were talking about your great grandfather. I'm talking about being a pharmacist and doing these conversations with people. The biggest way we could show Christ is just through that love.
Yep.
So,
Yep. That
um,
was one of the biggest things that helped me out, kind of even in my college years when I was starting to really wrestle with these things, like becoming an
mhm,
adult myself, was, um, one of my Jewish friends had a really strong Catholic friend at the time, and he kept telling this story, about how, and my Jewish friend is telling me this about how it really affected him in a certain way when his Catholic buddy had essentially said to him, yeah, you know what, Andrew? Like, I think something that'll help you out is just understanding that God is love.
Mm,
God
mm,
is love. And I remember hearing that from him kind of in my college years where I was in that very similar mindset of like, I just kind of want to try things out myself. Like, I want to have my own experiences. And like, I never felt like there was no God out there at all,
mhm.
but I didn't know how it interacted with my day to day. And I remember that really impacting me as well when I saw his reaction to his Catholic buddy just telling him something as simple as that.
Yeah.
God is love, and just relating that to so many things in my life. And I'm like, wow, like, when I think about it today, it's like those are the moments that you really do feel God in a lot of
Mhm,
ways. Like, that's not the only time, but like
mhm.
love is one of those expressions where, Christ was that example of like unconditional love, right? And
Right,
is that
right.
example of unconditional love. And like your parents, for example, like that's unconditional love. And like there's something
Mhm.
so special about that, and so like transcendent in so many ways. So I think that, but any of the listeners out there, if you can just, if you go to sleep tonight, just think about that. God is love. Like, that's something that it will really rack your brain for a little bit. If you just kind
Yeah.
of dig deep in that, you can do a lot of research on kind of the verses that comes from in the Bible. But yeah, I think, when I think about sort of those moments in college and then getting out of school and kind of living it, on my own for the first time,
Mhm.
I think that had a huge, huge impact on me, is just kind of understanding like, okay, there are ways that we can, directly interact with Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and it doesn't have to be this far-fetched thing. And it made it feel way more real for me once I fully understand what that verse really meant.
Yeah.
Um,
That's that. Yeah. Sorry. I just say that's real to me, and it's cool to see my siblings. We're all in these different communities, um, and a lot of them are with people that don't know Christ, that um, are kind of moving how we were moving when we weren't kind of looking for Christ. And the biggest thing I see, especially from my older sister Carly, how she personifies, how she shows is just love. Like with
yep.
anything does, whether that be professionally or in her community, in the neighborhood in Brooklyn, like she is pushing that love. And um, it takes a lot of that pressure off you to be this perfect Christian or be this perfect follower of
Hmm.
Christ. Like not
Hmm.
even in any aspects, whether that's Protestant, Catholic, whatever. It simplifies it down to like just love others, like love your
Yep.
neighbor, love the
Yep.
stranger.
Yep.
And I get to do that at work, and it's hard, and it's not meant to be easy, but I really
Yep.
do feel in those moments, God the most is when I'm just taking the time to sit with somebody and love on them.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
not even sharing a testimony, just hope, like letting the Lord work through my love, letting them.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Exactly.
it's been real.
And I think you mentioned the word perfection. That was something I struggled with for the longest time too, where I was kind of
Mhm.
seeking this perfection in my own life in so many ways. Where when things weren't perfect, I was like, "What is going on?" It was like I almost, I'd shoot myself in the foot so many times and just like blame myself and get down on myself on like, why can't I get this right? Whatever it
Mhm.
was,
Mhm.
sports, school, like work, whatever it was at the time. But I remember being on this path towards perfection. And the second that I just said, "Hey, I'm never going to be perfect," there actually was only one human being that was ever perfect that ever existed. His name was Jesus. Like,
Mhm.
that changed my life in so many ways that I can't even explain. And I think too many people out here are kind of seeking that perfection in everything that they
Yeah.
do. And
Yeah.
it takes a lot of humility to say, like, yeah, I'm going to mess up. I'm still going to mess up.
Mhm.
And just
Mhm.
being able to bounce back from that is something that's super, super important. Well, dude, me and you could talk for hours and hours and
Hell yeah.
hours. I have like at least two or three more topics here I want to hit on real quick with you.
Okay.
So
Rapid fire.
just to update the listeners on kind of where you're at today. I know you're living in Philly. You're living in Northern Liberties, which has a special place in my heart too, just because I
Yeah.
did about a year and a half, 2 year-ish internship in Northern Libs, and just kind of got to walk around there for, at least 2, 3 nights a week, doing this internship. And I
Hmm.
love that area. It almost reminds me of like Brooklyn, New York a little bit, where it's like,
Yeah.
there's a lot to do, very walkable. It's not like the safest area in Philly, but I feel like it's safe enough where you can walk
Yeah.
around and still feel comfortable. And I'd just love to hear about like your kind of, how did you get back into Philly? Because we're both suburbs kids. So like, just
Hmm. Hmm.
if you could talk a little bit about Philly and kind of what that means to you today.
Yeah. The main reason I'm down here is the job that I got at Centennial is right down here in Northern Liberty. So
Nice.
it's down on Delaware Ave. And once I had passed my exam and really wanted to shorten my commute from the suburbs of Willow Grove to the city, I found Northern Liberties. And I was looking at one of your pictures on your Instagram. There was a picture of you in front of an Acme. I think it was with
Yep.
the guy. And I was like, wow, it has changed so much since then. They've built so many different apartments. It's just gotten fuller. There's so many people walking around, so many dogs, dog parks, regular parks. And so, what I love the most about being out here is, yeah, it's very lively and vibrant. Always things going
Hmm.
on, but I never feel overwhelmed. I have my places that I like to go, but if I want to try something new, I can step into that way and I can do
Hmm.
something over there. So I've been doing a lot of walking. I walk to work every day. I kind of walk everywhere I can in this area. Got some friends that live around here, so there's a lot going on, and it's a great space. It's only going to get bigger, only going to get more energetic and lively. But I'm glad to be kind of in this area where I have the opportunity to do a bunch of different things and
Yeah.
cool. And especially during the World Cup, so many
Oh
people
yeah.
out, so many people from other countries, from just other parts of the country. Um, it's incredible. It's a
Yeah.
whole hodgepodge of just cultures and people coming together and celebrating. Yeah, it's been great down here.
I love it. And you're in like the perfect time of your life to be in the city and just
Mhm.
living in a place where there is so much to do. Now, would you say that this has kind of turned you into a city man now? Like, do you see yourself in the city going forward? Do you think like once you settle down and have a family someday, or even if you don't want to do that, like someday, do you see
Yeah.
yourself hopping back to the burbs, or like could you be in the city the rest of your life?
I definitely see myself, having a family. But that's funny you say that because I think the more I'm here in the city, the more I realize I do want to find my way back to the suburbs.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's great. There's so much going on, and I always have a day where I can do whatever I want, but I miss that peace and serenity of the suburbs.
Hmm. Hmm.
And not even that. I've learned that Philly has a lot of neighborhoods that give you that suburbs feel while still being
Totally.
amidst everything. Brother lives in Fairmount. He's on a street that's beautiful, trees lining it,
Hmm.
drawing like charcoal drawings on the ground or people having plants and things. So I know that there's avenues within the city that could give me that. And I
Yep.
think that's kind of what I'm looking for more than just suburbs versus city is that serenity, that peace. And if I can find something like that, whether, in Jersey, kind of over where you live, where it's just right across the water,
Yep.
or Elkins Park, or somewhere that allows me easy access, but still gives me that separation. Um, but the city's crazy sometimes. I'm not gonna lie.
Let's be real. No, it
Let's be
definitely
real.
it gets wild out there.
Yeah.
I went to Temple, so we've seen some things over here.
Yes, sir.
Um, but yeah, man, I think you're definitely in an awesome place for kind of the age and time of life that you're in. So
Mhm.
enjoy it while you can, soak it all in. Because like parts of me now, being in Jersey, across from the bridge, I'm in there twice a week for work anyway.
Yeah.
And it's been nice to get back into the city in a lot of ways. But like I really do miss kind of the ease of access to so much going on all at
Mhm.
once. And I'm in a different time of my life now with the little ones at home.
Yeah, man.
But at the same time, I do definitely miss sort of I walk into the city and you immediately feel younger. I just feel
Mhm.
so much younger the second I'm walking around in there. and
Yeah.
it's been fun to get back in the city. So Philly, I think, holds a special place in both of our hearts. So
Yes.
Ben and I have gone back and forth in the past about music, or at least I've seen Ben posting about like the same exact type of music that I like,
Yeah.
I believe. So I wanted, before we get off this thing, to get like some of your favorite artists right now. I just love to know, like, what are you listening to? You mentioned, how much of an influence your mom has had on kind of like your music perspective, and just, hearing her play piano at the end of every single day. And like, are you playing any instruments yourself these days? Or are you more of like just an avid music listener? I believe you're a concert person too. So like, let's talk a
Yeah.
little music.
Yeah, man, definitely. I do I played the saxophone growing up, and my parents got me one for Christmas a couple years back. So I've been trying to get back into
Nice.
that. And
Nice.
Philly has a great kind of open music community that I'm trying to
Oh
get
yeah.
involved with some open mics, just like jam sessions. But
Heck yeah.
there's a lot of great music out right now. I think my biggest artist that I kind of recommend to everybody is his name is Joe, DJO.
Oh
DJ.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Stranger Things, that guy.
Oh yeah.
Man, I love his album The Crux. I listened to it on
Mm,
repeat this summer.
mm,
It's just a great like collection of different genres and some pop, some rock, some Beatles sounding. Um,
mhm,
so I
mhm.
think like that's one of my big ones. And then this other one that if I'm having a down day, or if I need to kind of pick myself up, especially during the summertime when the sun's shining, but I'm not shining, like I feel down or whatever.
Yep.
There's this band called the Good Neighbors, this British
Mm,
band. They have an
yep.
album called Blue Sky Mentality, and
Mm,
it's just a wave of positive energy. And especially in the time that we're in now, where there's a lot of negativity in the world, a lot of things going on that are stressful, these guys are just like, hey, come rock out with us for an hour. We're gonna bring you back. We're gonna make sure you see a smile, make sure you feel kind of a part of something. And I saw them in concert less than a year ago and immediately bought their vinyl at the show. So I played it
wow.
here in my house. It's
Wow.
fantastic. And I think you'll
I had to look them up on the spot because I was like, I know this band. I'm like,
you know the one
so,
song "Home," maybe.
I have two liked songs from them. One is called Bloom and one's called Keep It Up. You're
Yeah,
probably very
yeah, yeah,
familiar with
yeah.
them.
"Keep It Up" is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the song.
Yeah, and I'm looking at let me see at the bottom here. Are there any yeah, okay. So fans also like Royal Otis. I'm sure you're
Yep.
familiar with them. Big Royal Otis fan. And then one I was going to mention to you that I don't know, you probably know them though. Palace. Are you familiar with Palace?
I've heard some of Palace's stuff, like when it gets
Check
shuffled
out
in.
Yeah, check out some Palace.
Okay.
Zach Dalton and I have become very, very huge Palace fans. And another one that you would like, kind of along this avenue too, is Mo Lauda and the Humble. Have you heard of them?
No.
They're a Philly band, bro. You got to check them out. They are
Philly band.
unbelievable. They're from Philly. They are unbelievable. Shout out to Mo Lauda and the Humble.
Mo Lauda?
Mo space Lowda and the Humble. They are phenomenal. Like, actually one of the best bands out right now. Um,
Hey, let's go.
yeah, yeah. So definitely check those two out because they're right along kind of those lines.
Yeah.
Very their lyrics are interesting too. And I don't know if they're believers, either one of them.
Mhm.
But a lot of their lyrics, are very along those lines where even if they're not believers, the things that they're saying, you could almost like look at them as like a prayer in some
Yeah.
ways, which is very, very
Yeah.
interesting. But both like sick rock bands are out right now.
Yeah.
Are you a Jungle fan? You know
Yeah.
Jungle? I've
Yeah.
been loving me some Jungle lately, bro. That is like on repeat. They just put out, it's every song they put out is an immediate hit. They're in every
Yeah.
commercial right now. I had the opportunity to see them when they came to Philly, let's say 2017, 18, 19. Maybe it was like right before COVID. So that was
Wow.
like, I think either at the Fillmore or like the Met. It was somewhere small and we were like 20 feet away, and it was
Yeah.
unbelievable where they had like 9 different artists up there,
Dang.
all these different voices and like all these musicians. And I did a bunch of research on them, and it was like 2 guys that started this thing, and it's just so cool to see what they've become too. And I feel like I've been spoiled and fortunate to have some opportunity to see like some of these people like before they kind of got, even like Post Malone. Like I saw him at Made in
Yeah.
America, like front row, like when he was,
When he was a
all he had was
baby.
White Iverson, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
now. But so
Yeah.
are you hitting any concerts coming up? Are you you're in a good spot for concerts? I don't know what's in Philly this summer too much, but
So yeah, this summer has kind of been slow for concerts, but I got some big ones coming up. I got J. Cole in 2 weeks.
hey,
I'm
okay.
seeing him at Wells Fargo, which I'm really excited
Nice.
for.
Have you seen him
Um,
before?
yeah, I saw him
Yeah, yeah.
2017.
He's
Yeah,
awesome,
yeah,
bro.
he's
He's
great.
so good.
He rocks out, and he's been one of my most influential people as I've grown up. Because he also, like you said, like his music is real. It's conviction. It's like some of his songs are just heart, figuring out what's going on, who am I, what am I trying to do, um, and
Yeah,
it's
he's
so
a
it's really
real
cool.
one.
It's cool to see those artists. I don't know if you've heard of Death Cab for Cutie.
Oh yeah, Death
Yeah,
Cab. I love Death Cab. They're
I'm
awesome.
seeing them in two
They're coming to
weeks.
Philly? No way.
Yeah, they're
That's
on
sick,
tour,
dude. That's
so I'm
sick.
going with my brother to that one. And
Oh, that's
then I'm
awesome.
seeing Chance the Rapper in August.
Oh, let's go. Have you seen him?
Yeah, I saw
Oh,
him at
Chance is
Made in
awesome.
America. So
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
his
yeah.
coloring book 10-year anniversary. So
Oh, I didn't
it's
know
gonna
he's doing
be
that. That's so
it's
cool,
gonna be
man.
great. But
That's so cool. I saw him at
yeah,
the Electric Factory. It was nuts, bro.
yo, that's a small
Yeah,
one too. That's a
yeah,
great venue.
yeah. And I
Um,
remember. Do you remember his manager with the red hair?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
Did
guy
you?
Pat. The guy
Yeah,
Pat was right next to me the whole show. It was
that's
unbelievable.
see, that's the
And
great
like,
thing about the small shows.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then like, I think Philly's unique in that too, where at the time, he was starting to blow up, but it was like,
Hmm.
he kind of had like you're looking at back then it was like the Electric Factory, the Fillmore was still like not really a thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
like there wasn't too many options in Philly, so they all had to come to these kind of smaller places, and unless they were doing what is the Wells Fargo now, like which some of them
Hmm.
weren't quite ready to be at that arena level.
Yeah.
So yeah, and shout out to my parents too for like in my sophomore, junior, senior years of high school,
Yeah.
letting me hop on
Go
the
down.
train and just like
Right.
do my like I'm thinking about like now that I have kids and stuff, I'm like, I don't know that I would
Yeah.
let,
Never.
let my kids kind of get into some of the things that we were getting into back then. So but
Philly's
yeah,
Philly's good at making artists prove themselves.
a
You
hundred percent,
you start here, you start small. We got plenty of small venues, but if you want to build up, you got to come back. You got to prove yourself.
a
You got to really
hundred
show
percent.
that you're in it. Um, and actually, that's pretty much what I mostly go to now. Stefan's really big into like just the jungle sound. So like house
Yep,
music, not
yep.
even electric or techno, more like ethereal kind of
hmm
trancey music.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm
Like
with him.
I'm thinking of Rufus the Soul.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, for sure. Or even like Tom Mish. I don't know if you know Tom Mish.
Oh, actually, don't. I'm
Um,
writing that down. Tom Mish.
He
Is that
like
Misch?
Misch.
Misch. I'm
Um,
gonna check him out. Tom
it's
Misch.
it's music that kind of puts you into a trance, really. And he drags me out to
Yeah.
these 12 a.m. shows
Oh,
in a
let's go.
warehouse. But some of the best times where I could just kind of sway with the music and
Yeah.
think about things in my head, like
Yeah.
really almost have some conversations with myself. So that's kind of where
Yeah.
I've been in these last couple, at least the
I
last year
love
and a
it. I
half.
love it. I love
Yeah,
it. And talk about a great way to unwind. A
right.
concert is just like there's something to that. And I know a lot of people that are like not like concert people, and I'm always like, you like music, why? It's
Yeah.
like, get yourself to a show, especially if you're a young person out here and you can walk around and you're healthy
Hmm.
enough to, jump around even.
Yeah.
There's something to going to a show, and it's like this kind of special connection that you have with whatever artist is on stage where
Hmm.
it's a memory that you'll never forget. Yeah,
Yeah.
so Ben and I have always been able to bond over music. Well, Ben, this has been so much fun. We could talk for hours and hours and hours. I
Yeah.
can't thank you enough for reaching out. And I mean, in all reality, I think you're one of like maybe 5 people. Like it's weird for me that I'm starting to get people reaching out to me to be on this thing because like
Hmm.
for the longest time, I'm like, this is something I wanted to do. I've always wanted to have more conversations and connect with people that I don't get the chance to talk to all the time. So this has just been
Hmm.
so much fun for me, and I can't thank you enough for reaching out, man. I'd love to freaking get together soon, dude. You're right over the bridge. Like, let's freaking
Yeah,
make it
man.
happen.
I would love
Um,
to, if you come into the city, want to grab some lunch or some early
let's
dinner
freaking do it.
before you
Let's
go back.
freaking do it, man.
for
We'll
sure.
have to do it. And shout out to any of the listeners that are still on here, well over an hour at this point. Thank you guys for hanging on. I'll be sure to clip this one up. I think we got some really cool content in here.
Definitely.
And Ben, I cannot thank you enough. And anybody who's still
Eddie,
on, thank you guys. And we will call it a wrap. Thank you guys so
my guy.
much.
Appreciate you having me, man.